And yes, everybody, we are live once again. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. Yes, and yes, and yes. It is another glorious day. And man, before we get into it today, man, I just wanted to. Very interesting. Some of the developments that are coming from around the nation as far as, the ongoing the marathon election of 2020, right? And all the things that are kind of coming to light now. And, it's amazing to me how we have instances of people voting more than once. Obviously, what's going on in Nevada now, where they've pretty much thrown out an entire election, not the presidential one, even though it was the same ticket, right? It was, the same ballot, but you have a situation out there where they're throwing it out because people voted more than once. And obviously, you've heard about the people who are deceased who've been voting in Michigan and the irregularities in Georgia, where you had people calling Trump votes for Biden, Trump Trump votes for Biden, right? So, but it's amazing to me how stagnant the momentum is from the left. It's amazing to me how this is not alarming to everybody. It is dangerously short sighted and dangerously naive for them to think, and by them I mean, the people who voted for Joe Biden, to think that this is a corruption that, number one, will only occur one time, and number two, that this is somehow working in their favor. Ultimately, this does not work in their favor. In the short term, to placate their orange man bad syndrome, then maybe. But in the long term, this does not work in their favor. This doesn't work in anybody's favor. And if this is not challenged, if this is not called out, if this is not rooted out, if this is not quashed, then there's no reason to believe that any other election we have moving forward will be a legitimate election. And I don't think that's a conspiracy theorist thing to say. It's once it's kind of how their infatuation with censorship, which is another interesting development that's kind of going on, and I'll talk about that one tomorrow because you have some pretty interesting things coming to light as far as what's going on with Twitter and Facebook on, with their hearings that are going on about how Facebook has like secret programs that actually follow whatever you do online, not just even on Facebook. Excuse me. So, for the purposes, I guess, of gathering information to determine whether or not you should be censored. So, at first we figured that out with the marketing thing, but now it's about broadening their power in terms of censorship. And again, how you have people on the left who are cheering this censorship on as if it could never be used against them. And I've said this before, if the liberal has one flaw, one major flaw, I would say it is their naivety. The fact that they are dangerously short sighted and unbelievably naive. And I think we're seeing that both in this worship and applause of censorship that, maybe in their minds, I guess, will never be used against them because they're on the side of truth. And then obviously with the election and the improprieties and the irregularities that are taking place right now with the election, that they don't seem to care about because again, oh, it's going in our favor. It's just it could never be used against us. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, one of the blessings of having a well, I'm gonna try to be nice today, right? Because actually today's episode is gonna be very, very interesting. I'm about to say something that I never thought I would say. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome. Sorry, welcome to your planet, my planet, our planet, just not Drew Carey's planet. Planet Hog, that's right, coming back at you. Coming back at you with another episode. And yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow I'll do the censorship brigade that's going on, the censorship cartel that is Twitter, Facebook, and by proxy YouTube and Google. So anyway, it's just dangerously naive for them to kind of think that once I hate using the phrase big tech, I really do, but it's easier just to say big tech than to itemize all of these different industries. I just don't like using the phrase. It just seems like something a conspiracy theorist. It just seems like a term from their vernacular. But fine, right? Fine, big tech. But it's amazing that once they've kind of perfected this weapon called censorship, called acceptable doctrine, acceptable thought, that in no way and in no circumstance in the future could this ever work against the political left. Okay. All right. Maybe they have to learn the lesson twice, right? Because they're actually learning the lesson right now with the rioters who they thought were on their side, who are continuing to riot, and who rioted the night Joe Biden won, and who they are not in control of. And it would seem that they're going to learn that lesson again. Or actually, scratch that, right? Because they're not learning. If they learned it the first time, they wouldn't be repeating it the second time. It stands to reason. So they'll be presented with that teaching point again. But, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come here to talk to you about that. I came here to talk to you today about Bill Maher. And believe it or not, the man and I are in agreement about something. Actually, we're in agreement about a lot. So, Bill Maher on his real-time HBO show, he, he does like these little monologues or whatever. And most of them are horseshit, obviously. He's a liberal, but he's really, really in the bag for the Trump derangement syndrome crowd. But not his most recent, it's actually been it's a bit dated at this point. It's maybe about 4 days ago. However, he was talking about the shortcomings of the Democratic Party. And man, there was a lot of truth. There was some bullshit, but there was a lot of truth in there. So today we're just going to kind of go through that, and I am going to give you just some commentary on some of the things he said. Because, like I said, it's not very often that Bill Maher and I agree on a lot of things. However, I think this is as close as we're going to come, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado.
And finally, new rule with 2 Senate seats in Georgia still possible? Seats that will make the difference between gridlock and progress? Democrats must figure out why so many voters still say to them, "You're good enough, you're smart enough, but doggone it, we don't like you."
And right off the bat, right, he's got to kind of let him down easily, right? Because if there's one thing we've learned about the left over these past 4 years, it's that they, number one, have very, very, very delicate egos and delicate sensibilities. And piggybacking off of that point is they don't take criticism very well, right? So he's got to kind of fluff them up before he delivers the blow. You're good enough, you're smart enough, but we just don't like you. Well, it stands to reason that if you were good enough, you would have got the votes. But again, number one, he has an audience to pander to. And what's also interesting that you can kind of listen to as we go through this is some of the pauses where he's kind of prompting them to clap, but they don't really want to, but they have to. So it's not weird for everybody. But again, you're good enough, you're smart enough, but we just don't like you. It's a little bit deeper than that, Bill, but all right. We'll give that a C for effort. He's just getting warmed up, folks. Give him a chance.
Under the headline, "Something Went Wrong," the New York Times described a post-election conference call between Democratic leaders where they wept, cursed, and traded blame. Wait, I thought we won this one. Which we did. We did, and yes, ding dong, the whiny little bitch is dead. Celebration is in order. We took a big step towards saving democracy and in the process lost 280 pounds of ugly fat. All right, that's my last.
And cue the Trump derangement syndrome. See, it's like clockwork. It is like clockwork. Now, William, I would caution you, William, about using the term or the phrase, "the whiny little bitch is dead," on a couple of levels, right? Number one, it's illegal to make, and again, it's not that anything will come of this, right? Because the law really doesn't apply to them in the same way that it applies to us. But imagine if somebody said that about Obama, even now. Ding dong, Obama's dead. Well, they would consider that a death threat, especially if it was said while he was in office, right? The whole nation was on eggshells at all times. So, on the first level, it's just in poor taste to say something related to the untimely demise of a sitting president, lame duck or otherwise. And number two, William, I know you're part of the mainstream media, so you got to play along with the game, but it's not over yet. And man, I'm telling you what, if Donald Trump pulls this off, which, again, my position, for those of you who have been listening, I believe that we're right on schedule and that he will pull this off. And in the event he does, the meltdowns from 2016 will look like a normal counseling session compared to what we will see. But there again, they have only themselves to blame for it. But there was an interesting kernel in there. The New York Times article that he cited, where he was saying they were kind of cursing and screaming at each other. That's real. That's not comedy. That's a real thing that happened. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of this party. But wrapped up in all of that horseshit was a kernel that I agree with. Wait a minute, I thought we won this election. Yeah, you didn't. And I kind of talked about that yesterday, how if you look at all of actually, you know what? I'll hold off on that because he's going to itemize this. So let's just continue.
Fat joke. For the next 5 minutes. But Democrats were supposed to flip the Senate and didn't. Supposed to flip state legislatures, not a one. And they lost seats in the House in a year that was so much about making people aware of racism. Their share of minority votes went down. The message to Democrats from so much of the country seems to be, we don't like Trump, but we still can't bring ourselves to vote for you.
Close, William. Close. It was very close. He almost got it. He almost hit the nail right on the head. But as far as, again, those Senate seats and the House, that's 100% accurate. They only lost. And again, they were supposed to take everything. This was supposed to be a Biden landslide. But Bill Maher, obviously, again, you got to kind of play. He's got to play to the audience. He's got to play to his crowd. But he almost hit the nail on the head, except he had to throw in, but we don't like Trump, but we just can't vote for you. Well, or William, maybe I could posit this theory, and we can just try it out. Maybe, just maybe, people actually do like Donald Trump. It's a crazy idea. It's probably a censor-worthy idea if you ask Zuckerberg or Dorsey. But maybe, just maybe, people actually like Donald Trump. Maybe he's grown on some people. Maybe people now understand that beyond the pugnacious kind of rough demeanor. What annoys me is, like, you have these people, even these independent journalists, who say that Trump is a potty mouth. Like, the guy cusses like a sailor. I mean, there was one video clip that I saw a while ago where he's alleged to have dropped the F-bomb. But for the most part, they're just kind of referencing that clip about, him speaking about, let's say, a benefit of being a wealthy man and dating a woman, and a certain, let's call it, luxury that is afforded to you. Let you grab them, and you can fill that in. But, so, there again, he comes very dangerously close to the bullseye. But honestly, I don't even think this one was placating. I think this is his own Trump derangement syndrome, because he doesn't like Donald Trump. He cannot understand why anyone else could. And this is another flaw of the left and liberals, is they have a very pretentious kind of demeanor about them, like they know better than everybody at all times. Which could be another factor that drove people to Donald Trump. They got tired of you pontificating and demeaning their decisions that were in opposition to your own beliefs, right? Or that were counter to your own, altruisms about what society is and should be. But he came close. He came very close, and he made a very good point there to illustrate the magnitude of the loss that the Democrats have, and in my opinion, will continue to face. So, okay, Bill, we'll give that part a B. That's a B. That's a solid B, B plus. Okay.
If Cracker Jack was made of popcorn and dog shit, and half the people threw out the popcorn should want to know why. Liberals can either write off half the country as irredeemable, or they can ask, what is it about a D next to a candidate's name that makes it so toxic? Let's ask Ruben Gallego. He's a congressman from Arizona, and he was asked how his Democrats could do a better job connecting to Latinos. He said, first, start by not using the term Latinx, which the vast majority of Latinos have never heard of, and when they do, don't like it. Who likes it? Pandering white politicians who mistake Twitter for real people.
Ooh, there we go. Oh, Billiam, that was a zinger if there was one. That's a good place to stop. Yeah. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the parts where I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Maher about, again, aside from his little idiom about Cracker Jacks, and if it was half popcorn, half dog shit, obviously he's talking about the half popcorn being the Democrats and the half, or Joe Biden, and the half dog shit being Republicans and or Donald Trump. So he's saying if Cracker Jacks were half popcorn, half dog shit, and people throw away the popcorn should ask why. Okay. Well, again, all right, whatever. I'm not even going to touch that. Let them have that. The bigger point that was brought up there was when they canvassed a Democrat Latino, they brought up the term Latinx, which sounds like a tissue, but it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, Latinx is the woke, the new socially acceptable, the new socially created and foisted way of referring to Latino people. Well, why is it an X? Oh, I think you can figure that part out. Because Latino and Latina are gendered terms. And we can't have that because gender is fluid. So the good old white liberals decided to fix the Spanish culture and language for Spanish people. They took it upon themselves out of the goodness of their hearts, surely not the pretentious nature and the totalitarian nature of their souls. Surely it was to enlighten yet another savage minority class and bring them into the good graces of liberalism. So, yes, they decided to drop the O and the A and they put an X there. And then they foisted it upon Latino people. And obviously, there are some Latinos who are going to play the party of the willing, and they accepted it. But overall, this is roundly rejected. As a matter of fact, if you want to play a fun game in Florida, go to Kissimmee and or go to Orlando or go to Miami or go to Sarasota and say, you know what, fuck it, wherever you are, go out there, find a first or second generation Latino and call them a Latinx and just stand back. Now, depending upon what city you're in, that could be very, very bad advice. As a matter of fact, don't do that. Think about how that would happen. And if you do that, do it at your own peril. The point of the matter is, most people don't take kindly to you arbitrarily and unilaterally, and might I also add, erroneously, editing a culture that you are not a part of that has had a grammar, language, and syntax that has spanned, I don't know, where are we at now? We'll play it safe and say centuries, if not millennia, right? So up until 2020, there was no problem with the Spanish language. Up until 2020, there was no problem with how Latinos were referred to or spoke. But again, the wokey wokes took it upon themselves. The probably in between soy tea, chai, mocha things at Starbucks, and or in between froth tournaments with their dog Baxter or whatever, they took it upon themselves to fix another savage minority, and they should be applauded for it. But no, to Bill Maher's point, maybe this has also something to do with people, I don't know, voting for Donald Trump.
And don't get it that Latinx is like fetch. You can try to make it happen, but it's never gonna. Virginia Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said after the election, if we are classifying Tuesday as a success, we will get fucking torn apart in 2022. That's a congresswoman. She was urging members not to talk about defunding the police. James Clyburn agreed. Defund the police is killing our party.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just had a bingo. That is a bingo. Turns out that, yeah, a lot of people think defunding the police is kind of, but totally insane. A lot of people think defunding the police is totally insane. And case in point, Minneapolis is experiencing a surge in carjacking and just violent crime in general that has not been experienced ever in the history of that city. And at this point, the police, I think the police chief, I think his last name is Arenado or Arredondo, a Latinx. It should be Arendondex, because now you're going to have to change all their last names. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. He is actually pleading for the mayor and the council to hire more police, because he's actually saying we're at a point now between the people who've already left and the people who are continuing to leave. Because that's the thing, when you defund the police, right, and that there's that initial surge of people who walk away, well, those that remain now have to shoulder more responsibility than ever before. And it's not like the climate has assuaged in terms of the hostility that they're facing, right? If anything, that's only grown. But these people are having to shoulder more responsibility. They're having to work more hours. And they have less support, both morally, but also in terms of tactically. They have less people that have their backs. They have less equipment and techniques at their disposal, right? So what does that do? Well, that builds pressure, that builds stress. And then you start to say, well, I don't know if this is for me. And then another person leaves, and then that only increases those aforementioned factors that we just listed. And the cycle just kind of feeds itself, right? It's an endless feedback loop that results in more and more police leaving. And turns out more and more police are leaving. But now we're at the point where Arenadex is saying that we may not be able to respond to 911 calls because we just don't have enough people. So you may call 911 and you may, in fact, just be on your own. And that's where you want to be, right? That's a safe society. But see, this is, again, the liberal in America, right? Just like they dreamed a better version of the Latino culture, just like they weigh in on issues of gun control, which is why we have terms like assault rifle that aren't actually real. The liberal in America is the only person who's allowed to be totally ignorant and have full say-so on the subject matter in which they are completely ignorant. But let's move on. Yes, defund the police bad. And there were a lot of people saying that, actually, Bill Maher. There were a lot of people saying that on both sides. But this is what they have to, because their echo chamber is that strong that something like this has to happen, where the election goes almost unilaterally against them. And that almost is teetering, right? Because Donald Trump. But something as catastrophic as this has to happen in order to cut through. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Said. Pennsylvania Democrat Connor Lamb says Democratic rhetoric needs to be dialed back. It needs to be rooted in common sense. Thank you. Thank you. There, in my opinion, is the crux of the problem. Democrats too often don't come across as having common sense to a huge swath of Americans. And these are people who believe in QAnon.
Oh, no. See, he almost did it again. So now according to Bill Maher, if you don't vote for Democrats, then you believe in QAnon. Those are the only two possible outcomes. It's literally just that. So obviously, I'm a QAnoner, and I am not. I am not. It is complete nonsense. I'd actually never heard of it until it was kind of drubbed up by the mainstream media to kind of poison the well on Trump supporters, right? They throw all these conspiracy theories on us. Meanwhile, we get Russia, 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 Russia. We get Ukraine. We get Russia Part 2. We get Stormy Daniels. Okay. But anyway, there was a point in there from Connor Lamb, who I believe was unseated by Sean Parnell in Pennsylvania. I don't know. Actually, that might still be ongoing. So, anyhow, yes, common sense. Don't have it. Common sense says there are such things as genders. It's very easily observable. Common sense says defunding the police is imbecilic. Common sense also says that rioting and looting are bad. Common sense says that if a problem such as, police, if you have a problem with the police, you want to give, in terms of how they approached the community, if you want them to do better, then they need more money, not less. That's common sense. Common sense is basically the antithesis of everything AOC says. If when she opens her mouth, you just kind of want to shove your head into something to destroy your head, if you get that urge whenever she speaks, or you get some kind of tick in the back of your spine, it's because what she's saying is completely devoid of common sense. All right. And most sane people have that reaction. So that's a good reaction for you to have. All right, let's continue.
But as I've said before, politics in this country is binary. You have to wear everything anyone on your side does. Republicans are the party of don't wear masks, kids in cages, lock her up, and Democrats are the...
Oh, wait for it. Wait. Sorry. We have to stop that. So Republicans are the party of don't wear masks, which is not true. There are plenty of Republicans who wear masks. Most of them are in Congress. That's easily verifiable. Okay, so that was false. They're the party of kids in cages. Wait a minute. When did that start? That started under Barack Obama. Barack Obama's not a Republican, I can check. But last I checked, Barack Obama's not a Republican. Barack Obama. Wait. By the way, who was the vice president for? It's Joe Biden. Okay, not Republicans. And lock her up. Yes. We are the party of lock her up. Yes, only because she committed a bunch of crimes, basically war crimes, got a lot of people killed, and then destroyed all the evidence when she was told that there was a court case. All of which are crimes that you and I would be locked away for and maybe never saw again. But that's the only reason why people were saying lock her up. That's it. And then you can delve into the Clinton Foundation and all that stuff. But we'll just keep it surface level. Just that. Okay.
Party of every hypersensitive social justice warrior.
We'll back it up a little bit. He was talking about the Democrats.
Lock her up, and Democrats are the party of every hypersensitive social justice warrior, woke bullshit story in the news. They're the party that disappears people or tries to make them apologize for ridiculous things. Anne Hathaway apologized last week because in her new movie she plays a witch, a fictional character that has 3 claw-like fingers, and that's offensive to people with limb differences. Hey. The week before, the NHL's Arizona Coyotes dropped a player after it came out in the press that when he was in 8th grade, he bullied a disabled kid. Yes, that's a bad thing to do. But are we really going after people?
A story covered by yours truly here on Planet Hog.
What they did in middle school now? Democrats already lost seats for going after what Brett Kavanaugh did in high school. Common sense. Last year I read about how NBC held an emergency meeting to determine if Mario Lopez should be fired from his job at Access Hollywood. I thought, holy shit, did he sexually assault somebody? No, he went on a podcast, and when the host brought up the trend of liberal parents letting toddlers pick their gender identity, he said, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you think you're a boy or a girl, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. Cue the groveling apology, followed by America saying, yeah, I think Mario's right. Maybe kids shouldn't make big life decisions while you still need to make choo-choo noises to get the food in their mouth.
Ding, 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 ding. More common sense. And ladies and gentlemen, Bill Maher's on fire right now. He is on fire after that little snafu in terms of not attributing the right things to the right people, like kids in cages. He's found his stride. Yes. And when he was talking about disappearing people, of course I will put the link to this down in the description. So you can go see it for yourself. But when he was talking about disappearing people, he was talking about the people who got canceled. I saw Aziz Ansari, Ellen DeGeneres, Kevin Hart, Louis C.K., Roseanne Barr, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. J.K. Rowling, I don't think she was on there, but she should have been. All of the people who they said need to be canceled for one reason or another, all of them being insane. But yes, he's on a roll. But let's keep rolling.
I can do this all day. Cite stories, big and small, that are endlessly on people's news feeds, that add up to a constant drip, drip, drip of these people are nuts. Everybody heard about that story out of San Francisco? About a guy who got on a crowded elevator with a female professor, and when she asked what floor, he said, women's lingerie. You know, a little joke, for which he earned a formal complaint because it left her shaken. Shaken? Who are these jellyfish? Like the woman who almost derailed Biden's campaign because he kissed the back of her head before she went out to make a speech. She said her brain couldn't process what was happening. Really? Your brain couldn't process that, like string theory or wormholes? An old man was trying to show support in his old man way.
Ooh, careful. Careful, 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 William. I don't know your standing. I don't know if you're a member in good standing. We will find out, I'll tell you that. We will find out, and he better keep his nose clean, that big nose. He better keep it clean for a little while because this isn't good. He's bucking a little bit too much. This is a heavy dose of medicine, and they are not going to like it. But it's all true. All true. And again, all things that were brought to their attention a long time ago. But when you live in an echo chamber, when you surround yourself only with people who agree to the extent of which you agree, and also agree to the point at which you agree, meaning, yes, we have the same philosophies, but we also have the same passion about those philosophies. So when you surround yourself with people of that ilk, this is what happens. Reality appears like an alternate universe. And that's what's happening. Basically, they're echo chambers. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. This is speculation. Maybe they're being shattered. If not altogether shattered, there's a big, nasty crack in it. Okay, let's continue.
She said she was embarrassed, shocked, confused. Well, then the outside world isn't for you. And
Mansplaining.
and certainly running the world isn't. I talked to a guy in the Midwest once who told me this story about the day he went out to get his car in the supermarket parking lot, but couldn't back out because a mother and her very young daughter were standing behind his car, which was next to their car, which had a Hillary bumper sticker on it. And the little girl was screaming at her mother, who was profusely apologizing to the child. And he said to me, I just can't let people like that take over this country. That's what people vote on, not policy. Democrats kept saying in the campaign, you can't possibly think Trump is preferable to what we're selling. And many voters keep saying, yes, we can. In fact, our primary reason voting for him is to create a bulwark against you, because your side thinks silence is violence and looting is not. Because you're the party of chasing speakers off college campuses and making everyone walk on eggshells and replacing "let's not see color" with "let's see it always and everywhere," formerly the position of the Ku Klux Klan. It would be so easy to win elections if we would just drop this shit. Democrats need to listen to our new president-elect's old boss.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly.
Quickly, like before they voted in Georgia.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Old Billy Boy went in, huh? And yes, the party of silence is violence and looting is not, yes. The party of children can pick their genders. By the way, gender is something that can be picked. Yes. The party of, he didn't delve into all the good stuff, obviously, because, well, like I said, he was pushing the envelope as it was at that point. So he can't talk about the Green New Deal and how that is just complete insanity. 5-page insanity. We're going to systematically, fundamentally change how the world does energy. And it only took 5 pages. 5 double-spaced pages, by the way. That's the party of that. That's the party of we need to ban cow farts. That's part of the Green New Deal. Cow farts are dangerous and killing us. This is also the party of child speakers like Greta Thunberg. We need to listen to uneducated, emotional little children. Right? This is also the party of all men are terrible. This is also the party of we can't go to a movie theater without being preached to about something we disagree with. This is also the party of, look, dumbasseries like mansplaining, manspreading, all of that horseshit, right? And again, like Billy Boy said, and I agree, I could go on forever, but I've already gone on too long. Ladies and gentlemen, that, in a nutshell, was the Bill Maher monologue on Real Time, where he kind of took his team to task. And if he's not careful, he may find himself a man without a party. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to leave it today. I would like to thank you once again for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. And I will get up with you guys tomorrow. So, until then, peace.